interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
What is up? Episode 111, Remember the Show. Those of you joining us live, we appreciate that you remember the show tonight. Jason Anik, Belal Muhammad, as always, brought to you by the Anik and Florian Podcast. I am live in Las Vegas, 3 p.m. my time. Can't complain about that. Thank you, Third Eye Trader. We got some of the best MMA content. We'll take it. Appreciate you. But, dude, no UFC fights this weekend in Vegas. They're obviously in Singapore, but it's been a whirlwind for you. I like to see the Chicago background for you. So we'll get into Boston, but you go straight from Boston, straight from the airplane to teaching a seminar?
Yeah, we had a seminar at in Chicago. Shout out to Chicago fight team over here. And I was like, we left the arena and it was like 3:30 a.m. and I'm like so dead tired. And then my flight was, 9 a.m., 8 a.m. And we're at the airport and I'm like, man, I should just cancel. I just canceled. I was like, you know what? Let's go. We're here already, man. Let's ride with it.
Exactly.
Ended up being a really good seminar. I got a good workout in. Had a fun time.
And that's the best thing to do, getting off the airplane. You know, what's up, Madison? Best thing to do, getting off the airplane, get a workout in. But those of you think that I might be sick of Belal Muhammad, I'm not, and we'll get into that. But, certainly John gets me to the airport like way too early. Belal was there too early. And who do I bump into at the airport? Belal Muhammad. Who else would I rather spend an hour with chopping it up? Belal Muhammad. So I'm not sick of you yet. But, dude, let's quickly – so – Boston, right? I mean, it's such a whirlwind, right? Like you with this UFC roadshow, and you've been traveling a lot for doing the weigh-in shows. You were phenomenal. For those who didn't, and a lot of people did catch it, I think about 250,000, if I'm not mistaken, caught Bully B on the weigh-in show. You were tremendous. But it's such a whirlwind. John and I go to the airport this morning, and they're like, "Where are you guys off to?" And we look at each other like, I don't know where the fuck I'm going right now. Like, you're just so much traveling. You don't even know. We're like, oh, yeah, Vegas, like Boston, Nashville, just doesn't stop. Thankfully, it's not Singapore. But anyway, Boston. Man, Boston was a good time. Belal Muhammad had never stepped foot in the great city. A little bit of a delayed flight, but we were happy to have you Thursday night. Then you get there rolling right into the weigh-in show, right?
Yeah. It was another fun night. Like you said, delayed flights. Think it's going to be a bad freaking weekend over there. Then all of a sudden we had the weigh-in show. It was fun. And man, the fans out there were crazy, man. It's honestly one of the best places where the fans, the energy they brought. The first fight we were there, they were there freaking going nuts, singing the chanting and things like that. We were there for the pre-show. So that was always cool. Even at the bar we did the extra rounds at, the fans over there were cool. The weigh-ins, they were cool. So yeah, I didn't have no bad experiences with the fans out there, man. It was great energy, man. It makes you want to fight in Boston.
Hey, we would love to have you. We will embrace you. You can be sure. And my brother Don was saying, it feels so good when you're from somewhere that people love your city and enjoy the time there. Find me someone that doesn't like Chicago, right? I mean, everybody loves when they go to Chicago. But dude, it was quite a whirlwind. So Friday night, we're at Hurricanes Bar right there on Canal Street, right off by TD Garden. Tatiana Suarez is doing an appearance. So Belal and I, for those of you who don't know, did UFC Fight Pass with TJ DeSantis. Shout out TJ. Great time being there. Y'all should have seen, I can't believe I just said y'all, by the way, but you all should have seen the line for Belal Muhammad, all these fans lining up pictures. And a lot of them fans of our show too, but it had to feel good. I know you talk about, but a lot of fans coming up, a lot of good things to say. It was a good vibe there at Hurricanes Friday night.
Yeah, good energy. And like you said, it's always cool when you have the fans that watch the show and they're excited for the show. Hopefully the next time we do it, we'll have a fan show out there. I'm thinking when we go to Madison Square Garden, MSG, we're going to have a fan show, same way we did it in Nashville. I think those are the best ones because you get the fans interacting with you. You get the fans doing the game show, the trivia part. I had so many people message me like, bro, when are you guys doing the game show out here? When are you guys doing the game show? So next one we go to, we're both live at. It's going to be fun. We'll make it epic.
It's awesome. So we also did a pre-show and a post-show in the TD Garden, sort of in the concourse, which was cool. Similar thing. We had a lot of fans behind us as we started the show, which was pretty cool. I'm like tasting Sauvignon Blanc on my neck from these. A lot of these Boston fans like the sauce. But that was fun. But so we'll do the pre-show, and then, Belal Muhammad is a massive star, so we need to get escorted from security back down to our seats, make sure we're there for the prelims, watching Belal coach GM3. Shout out GM3. Tough night for GM3, man. Would have loved him to get the dub there, but I enjoyed watching you coach him from afar a little bit.
Yeah, I know you always hate seeing your boys lose, because I know how hard he works, and I know how good he really is, and he just needs to transfer from the practice room in there. But man, he showed his heart, he showed his guts in the last 2 rounds, came back hard, man. I thought he almost got the finish in the third. Even to me, I don't know, that decision was very close, could have went either way. But yeah, I talked to him. He's healthy. Hopefully, him. He's willing to fight anybody, man. They keep giving him the toughest guys, the next big thing, right? That guy was undefeated. He fought him hard, almost had the victory. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to offer him another monster. And I think Gerald's going to be ready to go. I think, like I said, people just don't understand how good Gerald really is. And I think once he gets to that level of just turning it up early, that's his biggest issue, right? Starting it too late. Coming in there kind of slow, and then all of a sudden he starts picking it up. And in the third round, that's where he almost gets the finish. So
yeah, Coach Muhammad wanted a lot of body kicks, a lot of head kicks early from GM3, but he'll live to see another day. Professional fight 53 or whatever coming up for GM3. But it was a great night for us, and so we're in the fighter section watching the fights, and then logistically, we needed to be sort of brought up for the post show prior to the main event. And I guess this is a good way to transition into the next topic, Sugar Sean O'Malley. So we spent the night sitting with Sean O'Malley's family. And real quick, shout out the guys from Young LA, your boys. Great to be with them. They were with us all night, which was cool. But we're sitting with O'Malley's family, really for the whole night up until the main event. So we have to go back to do the post show before the main event. But I'm sitting with, I think he has a brother that's 4 years older, a brother that's 4 years younger, his sister, mom and dad. And dude, they all look just like him. They're all super nice. Like his wife shows up, O'Malley's wife shows up, and his younger brother's like, "Hey, you look beautiful tonight." Like, they such good energy. You agree, I assume.
Yeah, they're like the nicest people. They're not what you would expect. You think that, he's flashy, and even himself, he's really not that guy. I think even though he dresses flashy and looks flashy, he's not that. He's really down to earth. And then seeing how down to earth his family was, it was cool because, what do you say? They're all from Montana. And I think he moved his whole family down by him. And I think that his dad's like the only one that didn't want to move yet. So I think he's still trying to work with getting him down there. But yeah, the nicest group of people, man. And it would have been epic to be there and have them witnessing, watching them witness their son and their brother win the fight like that, but we had to go upstairs and watch it on TV.
Yeah, and that's a different conversation for a different day at UFC Fight Pass. We'll get into that, but we certainly appreciate the opportunity from UFC Fight Pass. It was a lot of fun. And me and my boy Bully, man, comfortable with one another talking. You can be sure. Episode 111, we've talked about mixed martial arts together here and there. So it was a great time being with you. And dude, more to come. We're going to be in New York with that show in November. Man, the UFC Roadshow, though, pay-per-views are going overseas for a bit. Not going to get as many opportunities.
Yeah, I know. I was just talking with Ramiz. He FaceTimed me, and I was like, where you at? And he's like, I'm in Singapore. I was like, no way, you're in Singapore? Then I had a call with Mike Valley, who's in Australia right now. Bali right now, training down there early. So I'm like, they're going from there to there. And I think they're going to France in between there. So it's like, yeah, I feel sorry for the workers. Honestly, people don't know the people behind the scenes who make everything go. Like, those are the real ones right there. Those are the real MVPs, because they're going back to back to back, all in the air, and then having no sleep at all.
Dude, it doesn't stop. I mean, like Zach Candido, who runs the show, I was with him in Boston. I had no idea he's turned around going to Singapore. You know what I mean? He's there now. But dude, real quick, before we jump to 170, and and remember the show, we say a lot, we don't look back, we go forward. I mean, Sugar Sean, it's been talked about all week, but dude was already a star, certainly improved himself, but UFC is taking the star to the moon, man, releasing all the footage immediately. Like red carpet rolled out, pink carpet, dude doesn't even need it, but it's rolled out, man.
Yeah, I mean, they know what they have, right? They know how to do it. I think even himself, he manages himself. The way he built his career up, the way he went the slow route and got here. People were coming at him. They didn't believe him. Said, he only beat Peter Yan. He didn't really beat him, and now he's getting his title shot. Aljamain, even myself. I mean, I thought the wrestling would play more of a factor into it. But like I said, he had a whole year to train for one guy. He had a whole year to train for either Cejudo or Aljamain. They were both going to try to wrestle him. And, he showed how good he got in that year, right? He defended a couple of really good takedowns. I think Aljo, like I said, he has a lot of sloppy entrances, a lot of sloppy hand movements, but it's like the funky style, right? People think it's sloppy, but to him it's normal. And I think sometimes guys like O'Malley, who is a sniper with his striking, will see those openings and take advantage of them. And that's what O'Malley did right there. He caught him with a really good right hand coming in. It was a beautiful right hand going backwards, which is super hard to do, and to drop him. And still, it's on the edge of being early or not early, but I think he would have just continued hitting him, right? He would have continued going at him hard. And I think that eventually it would have still got stopped. Aljo, he couldn't grab a hold of him. He was still laying there kicking up, but then he gave up his back. And I think once you give up your back, it would just been a couple more shots from there. And I think the ref would have probably stepped in anyway. I agree. You just got caught. I do think that for Aljo, being who I think could be the best bantamweight to ever do it, I would assume that he deserves a rematch. But I think that Sean, he's already calling out Cheeto. He's already calling out Cejudo. And I think that he's probably going to go one of those routes.
What's up, Bone?
Yeah, I mean, just final notes as I've been trying to ignore this result the entire week as a friend of Aljo. But I agree with everything you said, Bully. I think when it comes to the stoppage, it's an early stoppage, but not a bad stoppage. And I think you can have them both. I, for one, lean more of the side that's like, we're two consenting adults. Like, I would rather see the fighter go and take the extra one or two than I would one less. But, maybe I'm just a little bit of a savage in that regard. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, no, I'm with you. I just, my mixed martial arts brain, like I'm thinking right now, you talk about Aljo, right? And certainly with the Anik and Florian podcast and the connection to Ray Longo and Belal trained with Aljo, a couple weeks ago, no Aljo. I've never met Sean O'Malley, but we're sitting there with his family, right? And it never occurred to me until we weren't there what might happen in that moment. But Belal and I liked them enough that certainly we would have wanted to celebrate with and for them in that moment. And, I guess I'm glad that I wouldn't want to be celebrating an Aljo loss. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad we didn't have to celebrate an Aljo loss because we would have had to celebrate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I was saying last week, the fight before when it was Dustin against Justin, and we were like sitting behind Dustin's wife, and I was like, I like both of them, right? I don't want to see either one of these guys lose. But yeah, you're being in that area. It's like, like you want to be happy for Justin, but then you're mad, you're sad for Dustin, and his wife's right there. Same way with Sean. Like his family was so nice. We were seeing the next to them the whole time. They were the nicest people in the world. And obviously, the way they exploded, we would have probably exploded with them too. Like, right. Man, everybody in that crowd. I think everybody in that section was exploding except for Alex Ferreira. I was like, bro, like, you're never going to show emotion out of that one?
No explosion other than in the octagon, right? No explosion. Belal shows him his phone, like, hey, we're on Sports Center, and he's like,
I was like,
I know you're gonna watch out. You're going at Glover now. I mean, Glover's gonna have your ass. You're gonna watch out. You can't be showing your face around Connecticut.
Nah, Glover's my boy. I told Glover that's my BFF right there.
But so one final point just on this, and then put the book in it and never talk about it again. It was interesting that it's really such a bitch when it comes to fans not giving fighters their flowers until it doesn't matter, if that makes sense. Because Aljamain's post-fight in Octagon interview has 1.2 million views. Sean's in-fight, in-cage interview only has 500,000. So it's like 1.2 million people watch that inspirational post-fight of Aljo, and he seemingly has come out of this, gold as a goose with all the fans, back on his side. They kind of gave up on it becomes, and I'm sure Belal, you can attest to this. Like when it becomes the cool thing to hate on somebody, it's like when you're in high school and it's like, oh, it's the cool thing to shit on this kid for this week. That's what we're going to do. And then once the bullying stops, it's like, oh dude, like we actually love Aljo. So it's just interesting to see the fickleness of the fans. I hope that, Aljo wants to take time off. He's been very candid in the aftermath, talking about how this is the first time in his career that he's ever been able, well, since he won the title, that he's been able to like take a breath, take a step back, because it's been, fast and furious. So he's talking about the rematch in 2024. So I think that opens the door up for a Cheeto or a Merab, in December against O'Malley. But I just thought that was interesting in the aftermath of UFC 292.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I love me some Aljo, so it's never going to go away for me. It's, all the people coming. I've been on that bandwagon for many years. So, Bully, we got to talk about 170 pounds as much as, frankly, I don't want to. So, once again, right, I do it every week. It's the same thing. No news, right? But John Jones doesn't want Colby Covington to be on his undercard or as the co-main event in New York City. Belal Muhammad would be happy to. He's ready now, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you're looking at these little things, right, you're like, well, John Jones is one I'm on the card. I don't think anybody wants him on the card. I think it would make a lot of sense because Leon wants to fight in New York. He said it. He said he wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi, and I would still be down to fight in Abu Dhabi right now. I think for the UFC now, it's like for them to make the choice and decide, all right, well, we have our main event for November. We have our main event for Abu Dhabi. We have the main event for December, hopefully, if Sean O'Malley is going to end up fighting or even McGregor is coming to fight back. So, like, there isn't really no need to sit there and have to push Leon or Kobe on one of those cards. I think the fact that Sean won this weekend, it opens the doors for him to fight in December. And, maybe they'll give Leon what he wants and fighting in November. And especially if John Jones, who's considered the GOAT by many, and I think he has he's putting the time and the work to call his shots, where if he doesn't want a freaking loser like Kobe on his card, knowing that he's going to say dumb things to him or talk trash to him, is like, why would he want to deal with it? I wouldn't want to deal with that either if I'm John Jones and I'm about to have the biggest fight in heavyweight history against Stipe Miocic. I want to have this freaking clown coming on here saying dumb things, making up lies, which he's probably going to be doing just to create attention and get clout. Like, I don't want him to catch clout off me. I don't want him to catch money off my name. So if I'm John Jones, it's like, all right, well, let's get somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, well put. It makes great sense. And, I guess I'll listen to that noise as long as you're his opponent. I'll be happy to listen to that noise. I'd love to see you face him. That's well documented. I guess for me, what's weird about the whole thing is that, like, until this fight it feels like you're the number one contender, but right. So it's like, yeah, we got to just wait. So it's like, that's what makes the urgent. It's not like we're waiting for your fight to be announced.
Yeah.
Right. We got to wait for another fight to announce and that fight to happen. If we're on the Belal Muhammad crown train, which we are, right, that's what just eats at me. But for you just keep getting better. And that's what we say every week, but we just have to touch on it,
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, even for myself, it's like, I just want to be over with, right? I want to know, all right, now I have an idea once they make that date, once they make that fight, or even for myself of knowing, all right, what date do I have to be ready for? Because anything can happen with these fights. We've seen how many injuries are happening in this Australia card, which has been crazy. Guys get hurt all the time. So, like, I'm going to have to stay ready regardless of who it is. But it's like, I want to plan a vacation. I want to do this. I want to do that. But, like, not until I know the exact date that these guys are fighting, the exact time these guys are fighting at. So I have an idea of what's going to happen next, because it doesn't make any sense of what's going on, right? They keep saying, oh, well, that's the next fight for sure. They haven't brought it up. There's no rhyme or reason for why it's not getting brought up. The only other thing we have is John Jones not wanting him on this card. So that just leaves me an opening. Like,
right.
Well, they tried to put him on the card, and now they don't want him on the card. And if they do McGregor and Chandler in December, and they do Sean O'Malley and Cheeto in December, then where are you going to stick Kobe and Leon, right? There's no place for them. But there is a place where you can stick Leon and Belal. We could be in Abu Dhabi, or we could be in November, and that works perfectly for me.
Exactly.
Well, and I think if you're the Leon team, like, now you're playing a really fine line between, like, all right, yeah, we want to be on the pay-per-view that makes the most money so that we can get that kicker. But at the end of the day, if you're on the Conor card, you're not getting pay-per-view points. If you're on the Jones card, there's probably going to be some changes to that, So Abu Dhabi seems like kind of the clearest route to get a nice check if you're the Leon Edwards team, but you already fumbled the bag when it came to the UFC London getting turned into a pay-per-view. So I got to think the promotion's probably not really happy either. I mean, it's been since March that he hasn't fought. So, we're coming up on a lot of time here where soon people are going to start asking about an interim, so that, as a champion, that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. I mean, Leon, honestly, is probably like I would have to say probably one of the worst champions in UFC. And it's not like there's no bias toward it or hate toward it. It's like, he doesn't promote himself. He doesn't bring up the division. He's not talking about the division. He doesn't use social media. He doesn't go on interviews, or when he does do interviews, it's dumb things, or when he does pop up on social media, it's saying stupid stuff. Like, there's really no energy from him at all. And it's like, we were just coming from the champion who was in movies, the guy who was like, at least he was active. He was having freaking rematches all the time, but at least Usman was active. It was making division moves.
Absolutely.
Like, Leon's been sitting out, not doing much. not even tweeting much or doing much. And it's like, what's next for the division? And when you have these like younger guys, even if the division is stagnant, everywhere else, right? Like we just had the Ian Garry fight. So then you're wondering what's next for those guys. And it's like, oh, well, he fights Wonder Boy. So then where did that leave the other guys in the division when you have like Usman needs to fight, Luke needs to fight, Gilbert needs to fight, Shavkat needs to fight, and every single one of those guys train together, and none of them guys are going to fight each other. So it's like this division is going to be sitting freaking stale for a while.
Well, I just have a point to add about that.
Look at this guy. I love this guy popping on the center of the screen. I guess I love it. What do you got? You were just eating something. Am I wrong? No, I love it.
Yeah, I was just having a little snack. It'd keep the
energy. I know. I love it. Go ahead.
So Ian Garry before that fight even had, which, I mean, not that we're really going to even talk about it, but I'll finish my statement with a question. So Ian, before the fight, said, they were doing an ESPN thing. It was like, oh, what is the first word that comes to mind when I say these names? And he was like, Kamaru Usman. And he was like, no knees. And I'm like, bro, isn't that supposed to be like your boy? Like you're just going to shit on the fact that he's had knee injuries? Like, so I don't know. I feel like Ian maybe is more likely to fight some of those guys other than Gilbert, who was in his corner. But so I guess the question that I wanted to ask was, in that situation, so I got really frustrated because fans, Gilbert Burns, Belal Muhammad, they save the co-main event, right? They go into this fight, 25 minutes, 5 rounds. Gilbert hurts his shoulder because of the steel wall that is Belal Muhammad. And obviously Belal then puts the work on him, but Gilbert is a very tough guy. He's always dangerous, even if he's just throwing his arms out there. Now, Neil Magny, not really as dangerous, goes out there, gets his leg damaged in the first kick of the fight, and then Ian Garry can't finish him for 15 minutes. And I see everybody being like, oh, what a masterful performance, but like when Belal finishes or goes out and dominates a better guy, people are bitching that, oh, he can't finish a guy with one arm. So Ian Garry couldn't finish a guy with one leg. Where's the hate? That's what I want to know. I'm like, what's up?
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't, honestly, it really doesn't matter to me, right?
Well, I know it doesn't matter to you. It matters to me. Yeah. I'm out here fighting the battles.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, 170. I mean, what are we doing? Let's move the division on, huh? 2024.
Seriously. Well, we're moving on. We're keeping Belal busy. So for those of you who don't know, me and my boy Belal Muhammad will be joining Ben the Bane Davis at APFC 7. That is Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship. Live from Hammond, Indiana, 2:00 p.m. Sunday, September 3rd. I'm getting fired up, man. First time for you and me calling fights. I don't really know what I'm doing. You certainly do. But I'm excited, man. Can't wait. I'm so excited for the opportunity. Appreciate Damian Rodriguez and Anthony Showtime Pettis. Like saying that. But, dude, big things. I'm excited to come to Chicago and see you and call some fights, man.
Yeah, bro. I can't. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun week. And, bro, we got 20 fights on this card right now. So it's going to be epic, dude. It's going to be on Fight Pass. So make sure you guys all tune into it. It's going to be sick. We're going to see Cain Velasquez there. He's going to be out there. Yep. So that's going to be cool. Yeah, I went to their last card they had in Milwaukee. I drove out there. It was cool. Like, he puts on a really good show. There's like a lot of these smaller promotions that don't put on good shows or doesn't look professional, but Showtime does a really good job with it. He has good fighters in there. They bring the action. I know a lot of the guys on this card. Shout out to my boys all fighting on here. Kevin Novacek's the main event for this card for the title. So we got a lot of good guys coming from my team, Mike Bailey's team, Chicago Fight Team. So there's going to be a lot of action. So there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. And like I said, we're going to get our reps in. We're going to have some fun in there. We're going to get our reps in. And man, for me, there's not really like pressure, but for you, it's like, we're going to be expecting it, right?
I hear you.
Well, the twin needs to come out.
Well, and believe me, we've had some conversation about this, and thank God, my guy, Ben Davis, is going to be calling the action, and I'll be contributing in some way, shape, or form. But, for me, it's just going to be very interesting to see some of these guys potentially make their way into Dana White Contender Series or make their way into the UFC when we're going to maybe have seen them early on. But ultimately, it's about having chemistry, I think, with the broadcast partners, and we'll feel it out as we go. But having Belal Muhammad in the building, you can be sure is going to put eyeballs on this thing, and Cain Velasquez as well. So to me, I think it's very exciting. I love the work of Ben Davis, so I think it's going to be fun to work with him. And ultimately, when we work together, right, we're doing these shows on Fight Pass, whatever. I look to my right. Bully B's always got something to say. Okay, we don't tell Belal any of the topics on the show. We don't tell him any of the Bully's picks. He has no idea what he's going to have to pick, but he knows everything and he's always locked in. And TJ said, he sent me a bunch of texts on the side just talking about how great your analytics were. This is going to be a piece of cake for you, but I can't wait. I'm just trying not to say and trying not to describe the grappling that's happening on the ground, And then I said, Oh.
No, I was watching the fights yesterday, the PFL fights, and Dan Hardy was like talking about one of the fighters, and he even went in there and like interviewed them in the cage, and he was like, "Oh, thank you," and he like literally said her opponent's name instead of her name. He's like, "Congratulations to whatever her name was." And then on the air, they were like, "Wait, that wasn't her. Like he beat the opponent." Like, I was like, Sean O'Connor just freaking treated her right now because he was in the cage. He was like, "Yeah, thank you, Michelle Rodriguez," and she was like on the floor, and she's the one who lost. And I was like, "Bro," and I was like, "Man, now I'm watching it with a different eye, right? When I watch fights, I watch it with a different eye. Now when I'm watching fights, I'm looking to the commentary to think like, man, everybody says this. All right, that sounded good right there. Let me put that word into my vocabulary." But man, I was like, Dan Hardy screwed up. I was like, I do not want to be a Dan Hardy.
Dude, well, either way, I can't wait. And those of you close, like Big Gun Brian Petrie texted me today. He's coming through, so you can meet Big Gun Petrie. But dude, anyone in that area, come through, man. Who knows? Maybe we'll get some Remember the Show love in Hammond, Indiana.
My
but
brother
again,
got a fantasy draft on that day. He's like, because he's coming from Cleveland, so he's going to come to Chicago. And I was like, "You can come to the fights." He's like, no, I want to listen to it. I want to listen to the commentary. I don't want to be at the fights. I want to listen to it on later. So I'm like, all right.
I'm with him. Great answer. Yeah. That's been my gig for 15 years. Hopefully that'll help me a little bit in the broadcast. But for real, like it is funny for me. I've been traveling with John a lot, and I do miss that. Right. I said, like I spent this fight night in Boston, right? Originally planning to spend the whole night with him. Right. Don't get me wrong. I'd probably rather be with Belal than John. Belal's nicer than my brother John. But you know what I mean? But usually I'm riding him and just sort of watching him work, which for me is special in its own right. So fun to do my own thing with you. You can be sure. Dude, let's get to Bully's Picks. We got fights Saturday morning. Bone, I have no problem with you coming on the screen that particular time. You just reminded me of
Belal. What's up?
Oh, yeah, she is. She's the best. Highest IQ fight. Bang. Well put. But Cody, I was saying, I love you hopping on the screen. That one was just particularly enjoyable for me because you reminded me of when Belal did that face off with Leon and he made a muscle and he was like, or whatever, right? It just reminded me of that, right? Billy, it's Remember the Show. I like it casual. That one just, I wanted to point out because I love it. You popped right on and you were just finishing your snack. I enjoyed it.
So you can't get sure it's a live show. I start having a little bite of a snack. You start getting
I gotta get in here.
I gotta get in here,
Oh, Bully's Picks with the green screen. And Cody, another thing, there he is, Mystic Black. What's up? Yeah, make sure you don't fudge and swear on air, Belal. Don't worry. I'm getting so good with the fudge. I
swear on Fight Pass, though. It's all good.
Ooh.
See, I would love that. I would pay extra for that version of the commentary if I could get John. Oh, fuck! He put him out.
Well, that's the one thing that I talked to John about. I'm like, bro, people are going to tune in and be like, what the fuck is John doing? Like, what am I listening to right now? Like, what is?
I don't think so, though. I think you're pretty. I don't know. I'm biased.
Yeah, DC says my voice is higher pitched.
I don't think if you were blindfolded, I don't think you would confuse you two.
Yeah,
if you were blindfolded. Oh,
like if a regular fan was blindfolded, I don't think they would hear Jason Anik and think that it was John Anik.
You know what? Yeah, I hear you, but I have to say, and I'm sure enough of this twin stuff, but in Boston, I pulled out my ID three separate times because these fans don't fudging believe me. They literally don't believe that I'm not John there. And literally they're like, all right, like it's literally like a prank, like Red TV, like it's a prank. So I pull out my ID to show them. I just because I don't want to have the conversation anymore. I'm happy to have any conversation other than me pretending to be him, which I'm really not doing. Can't have that conversation. Anyway, Bully's Picks, UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus the Korean Zombie. And I'm going to say this because John always says it. Can we get Chang Sung Jung on the poster? We always got the Korean Zombie. Put the dude's name on the poster. My brother's been saying that for years. Anyway, main card, 8 a.m.
Right?
Now
that you bring it up, it makes sense. Yeah.
John says it every time.
I think he has a choice in the matter. I don't
well,
think
when you try and look the guy up, like on Wikipedia, for example, you try and look up Chang Sung Jung. They're like, sorry, go to the Korean Zombie. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. AKA Chang Sung Jung. Anyway,
maybe the Asian posters have sent Chang Sung Jung. And then it says blessed. It says blessed versus San Jung Young, right?
Yeah. But so the main card begins at 8 Eastern. So 7 o'clock your time, Belal. I don't know how that impacts your schedule. Typically I love these early mornings, but 5 a.m. because I happen to be on Pacific time. That's I'm not watching prelims at 3 a.m. necessarily. But anyway, I'm excited for this fight card. Let's start. First, BIC women's flyweight division, Erin Blanchfield. I had -148, Tyler Santos +124. It's probably moved a little bit. So Santos coming off a tough split decision loss to the champ Valentina Shevchenko. That was also in Singapore, UFC 275. That was back in June of last year, if I'm not mistaken. She had won 4 straight prior to that. So this matchup here, there you go, Cody. I appreciate you putting my exact odd up there. So this is one of those stylistic matchups, sort of like Aljo Sugar Sean, where it just grappler striker. It's going to be fascinating. Erin Blanchfield, though, all the rage. I mean, her nickname, as you know, is Cold-Blooded. Okay. Doesn't turn 25 till next May. Last November, you remember the Kimura finish against Molly McCann that made most of us uncomfortable watching, which I'm not uncomfortable watching any MMA, but that particular dominant performance, it was just make it stop. And then she chokes out Jessica Andrade, I believe. Yes, that was in February. So she was supposed to face Santos back in February. Instead, she chokes out Andrade. 5-0 for Erin Blanchfield. Kind of close on paper. A lot of people, including me, feel as though if Blanchfield gets it done here, title could be next at that young age. Belal, start us out. Who's the bit?
Yeah, she has all the hype in the world, right? Blanchfield, everybody's looking at her, thinking she's going to be the next champion, the youngest champion. She's a monster. She's really good, right? But now it's the level of competition. Santos leveled up now. Now, I would say Andrade was there, but now looking at Andrade's her last 3 or 4 fights, she's on a long losing streak, and then she's fighting again against Mackenzie Dern, and I'm like, does she care anymore? You're not getting better with these quick turnarounds. You don't get better in camps. You get better out of camps, working on technique, learning new stuff, and I'm like, is she only fighting for a check now where she just doesn't care about wins or losses? So I'm like, another quick turnaround? You just got finished before that. What's going on here? I don't know where she is with her head. So that tells me I don't know which Andrade is the one that fought Erin. Because when Erin beat her, I was like, oh, Erin's real.
Yeah, good point.
I thought she won that fight. I thought that she did. She eked it out against Shevchenko, and I thought she should have been the champion after that. She definitely deserved the immediate rematch, I felt. But, man, Blanchfield, she's just so good, man. Her grappling, man. Grappling is king of the sport. I know that, we said it with Sugar Sean, but Santos isn't Sugar Sean. I think Blanchfield's going to be able to take her down. I think she's going to control her on the ground. And I think I'm going to call a Blanchfield finisher.
Dude, I love the way you sort of went one, how you break down the other, but I'm going to go this way.
Because it made me mad that Andrade is fighting again. And I'm like, why is Andrade fighting again right now? Who's her manager? Who's your coach? Who's your team right now that's picking making these fights?
No, and it really is interesting. And obviously, certain wins and losses as a fighter become potentially better win or loss. And I agree with you that Andrade win for Blanchfield to me is not as impressive today as it was the night it happened. So your point's very well taken.
You never want to have a fighter that's comfortable with losing. And I think that she's at that point now where she doesn't care about losses. Where it's I lost. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. You never want to have that because it's you don't have no hunger. You don't have that drive, that desire anymore. It's all right, well, let me just get this check. Now it's just a regular job. It's not really, let me be a champion. Let me win this belt. She doesn't have that drive in her no more, I don't think at all.
Man, it's tough to say. I'm just such a fan. Anyway, Bone Marrow, get us going. What do you think? Same way?
Well, just a final point on Andrade. I mean, I saw a lot of people talking about she had just signed a new contract before taking these 4 fights in 12 months. So it seems once again, just showing up for the money. And, it's disappointing because when you see, I don't know her financial situation, but I know that she still lives in Brazil. The money, maybe a little bit of the corruption with management down there. It's a really dangerous, game. I talked to Alex Davis last week at the PFL after party for a while, just about talking to him about, how I feel like he always has his fighters' backs. So, he bankrolled Larissa Pacheco when she got dropped, so it's just disappointing. Andrade was a legend before this skid, and now she's just on a huge skid. But that skid did end. Or last time out, the skid, continued with Erin Blanchfield. She went out there and dominated Jessica Andrade. And I just think it's gonna be more of the same. I don't really understand this line, -150, maybe a little bit closer because of Tyler Santos's performance against Valentina. But I just don't see it. I think she should have been like a -200, -250, because as you laid out, the path to victory is like very clear. I also think mentally it's very difficult when you have, you know, the highest of highs. You fight for the championship. You think you're going to win. You don't. You lose. You have the injury. You got to come back from the injury. It's one fighter that's kind of like, can I get back up? And then another fighter who's still on the come up. So I think mentally it's all with Erin Blanchfield. I think she is cold-blooded when she gets in the cage. You know, very sweet girl, sat next to her at UFC Long Island. But I think the win is going to be Erin Blanchfield by sub here. I think it's going to be pretty easy, and they're going to put her in there for a title shot next year.
Both guys on Erin Blanchfield. Moving on to the co-main event, light heavyweight division. Anthony Smith, Ryan Spann. Spann -130, Anthony Smith +110. These guys fought not too long ago. So Spann coming off a submission loss to Nikita Krylov. That was March of this year. He had won 2 straight prior. Those 2 wins were after facing Anthony Smith. That was September 18th, 2021. These guys faced. So Anthony Smith, as you boys know, was supposed to face Jamal Hill maybe about a year ago, roughly. And the night that Ankalaev and Blachowicz fought, and many hardcore MMA fans certainly know this, Dana didn't like the outcome, and here comes Jamal Hill, title shot against Glover. So I was with Anthony Smith that night, and I found out right before he found out. Remember, if you recall, he was on set doing a post show, and he finds out in his ear that Jamal Hill's not fighting. And, you know, I've since talked to him, and he's like, you know, who's next for me? Like, who's next for me? There's nobody for me to fight. There's nobody for me to fight. And interestingly enough, it sort of makes sense. Well, and here you go. Now he's fighting a guy who he hasn't beaten anyone since he choked out Ryan Spann 2 years ago. So now granted, the 2 fights since for Smith against Ankalaev, Johnny Walker, a couple of very high quality martial artists, really right in their prime to me. But, you know, Spann lost to Anthony Smith, the slight designation as a favorite here. So that's interesting to me. But I will say about Anthony Smith, I've gotten to know him a little bit. Really enjoy spending time with him. Dude looks you in the eye when you're talking to him. You know, he's super easy to be around. I really like the guy. It's going to be hard for me not to root against him. Spann, I believe, has been on our show. He seems like a great guy too. So I guess, Cody, we'll start with you here. Spann, a slight favorite against an opponent who beat him.
Yeah, so you're correct. Ryan Spann has been on our show. I believe he was on with I want to say Jeff Neal. It was definitely a teammate. But I was looking at this card and I was frustrated because I was like, how have we not had like Erin Blanchfield or Anthony Smith or Max Holloway, the Great White Whale, on the show, right? I mean, we got some work to do, boys, for the next round of guests. But this one's tough because I think you're going to see a lot tomorrow morning on the scales. I think is going to tell you a lot about how this fight's going to go. You know, both the guys cut a lot of weight. You know, they're flying cross country. They're only going to be there for across the world. They're only going to be there for 6 days and they're going to fight. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see who acclimates. I think you're going to see that on the scale, but I'm surprised that the line is where it is. I thought that Anthony might be a little bit more of a dog, but this is kind of put up a shove for him. And I think he knows that if you lose this fight, you know, you're probably never going to be in that title contention again. So I think Anthony Smith is going to pull it out. You know, he seems like a great guy. I've never met the guy, but seems like a good dude. So I think Anthony Smith is going to win here. And I just hope that Coach Safe didn't make the trip because that's going to be a tough ride back if it's a loss. So Anthony
Bully
Smith,
B.
110.
Well done. Bully B, you going with the dog too?
No, man. I don't know. I think I like Spann here. I think even watching their first fight, remembering it back, you know, he had Anthony rocked a little bit. It ended up being some weird scrambling. Spann just gets in those weird spots where he almost finishes the fight and then his like IQ just like he gets lost and then something will happen. Or he'll have moments where he almost finishes you and then all of a sudden you come right back and he trips over his feet and he gets caught by somebody. Like he had a couple of those fights where he almost finished Johnny Walker, then he gets finished. Then he almost finished Anthony Smith, then he gets finished. Like he's got a lot of talent and he's right there and he's still young. And I think, you know, Anthony Smith after that last fight, admitting it to himself saying, you know, I don't know how to check a low kick. I don't know how to check a low kick. And it literally got his leg chopped off by Johnny Walker. I think if Spann comes out here fighting smart, and I know Saif Saud, I talked to him a couple of times where he said he's like switching it up a little bit. And a lot of their guys now are fighting, training smarter. And he has like different game plans going for these guys now and different ways of striking for these guys. And, you know, before when I went over there, it was just like war. Every time I would go there, it'd be like sparring day would be a war. Now they're going lighter stuff. They're going lighter sparring, more smoother technical stuff. And we saw it last week on their the Contender Series show with when their guy won the main event. And he was like a 5-1 underdog, Abdul Karim Sawadi. And, you know,
nice.
He came in there to lose, and he went in there, dominated the striker on his feet, and he looked great. And I called up Safe. I was like, dude, his striking looks amazing. He was supposed to be a wrestler. Said, bro, yeah, we've been doing this, and this. So I'm excited to see how Spann comes out. You know, he had some time off, and I think he's going to come back. He has the motivation, right? He lost to this guy already. I think for Anthony Smith, it's like, it's different when you're fighting a rematch. You're the guy that won it. Like, you have to beat him better than you did before, right? But when you're the guy that lost, it's like, all right, I already lost to this guy. So now I'm the hungry one. I'm the one going in there knowing that I got to get this win back. And I think that Spann's going to come in there hungrier, and I think he's going to come with this victory.
Always good when you guys are on opposite sides. And, you know, the main event, frankly, I know it's the odds on paper would make it maybe not a fight that we would pick, but I wanted you to break it down. So we're going to break it down. We're going to be doing a lot of research, Bully B. I most certainly on a lot of these 40, I think it's 22 fights for APFC 7, 44 fighters. I'm ready to go. Where are my flashcards? I'm ready to go. I got my flashcards. I got my John Anik flashcards, right? I'm ready to go.
You're going to flashcard it up?
Oh, yeah. So Ben Davis, I told him yesterday, like, Ben Davis, if you're light on any of these guys, I got you. You light on any of these guys at the walkout, you just look over me. I'll be heavy on these guys. But anyway, dude.
Brian Spann would be proud.
There you go. But so speaking of preparation, like, do yourselves a favor and look up Max Holloway on wherever you want, Tapology, SureDog, Wikipedia, right? And just, it makes me laugh every time I look at the long list of these studs that he has beat in the octagon. It's unbelievable. But to me, what gets me more is the extremely high quality of his losses. I'm going to read you all his losses. Okay. 2 to Poirier, 3 to Volk, 1 to Connor, 1 Dennis Bermudez. That's it. I mean, that's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
He's just beating killers. Anyway.
And the Bermudez fight, I don't even think he was old enough to drink when he lost to Bermudez.
Right. But, you know, it's like he doesn't lose to guys like Zombie, right? I mean, he doesn't lose to guys like this. I mean, last time out beats Arnold Allen, who's excellent, in my opinion. So anyway, and that was April 15th of this year. So I know Chang Sung Jung comes forward, Korean Zombie. I'm going to call him by his name tonight. But so he has not fought, unless I'm mistaken, in about a year and a half since he was bludgeoned by Alexander Volkanovski in Jacksonville. And to the point where the 4th round, Alex, if you recall, was like, you sure? You sure?
Yeah.
And then it ended. But so, I mean, I will never forget that moment. But I don't know, man. I'm expecting a few significant strikes here from Blessed Holloway. Bully, who do you got in the main event? Break it down for us.
Yeah, I was literally talking with one of my boys, and he was telling me, like, yeah, Max is done, though. And I was like, bro, why is Max done? Like, he just beat Arnold Allen, who's on a huge winning streak, and his only losses are to Volkanovski. Like you said, people don't realize that that's who he's lost to in the last freaking 4 years. And all these other young up-and-comer studs, he's out there still beating them, still piecing them up. So I'm like, bro, and he's still only like 30 years old. He's still got a lot of miles left on him. And I think
it's nuts.
You know, Korean Zombie's one of those guys. He asked for this fight. He wanted this fight. And appreciate you, brother. He wanted this fight, right? He's the guy. Even with Volkanovski, when he called for Chan Sung Jung, like, he wanted that title fight, even when he really didn't deserve it. But, you know, he's that guy, that name that you want to have on your resume, the Korean Zombie. I always wanted to fight him. And Max Holloway, to do that in Singapore is going to be huge for him. And I think, you know, especially with everything going on in Hawaii right now, it's going to be a great moment for him to, you know, pick up the people over there. And I think that even with his interview, you see how emotional he is with it. And I think that he's fighting for more right now. And I think he's going to go out there. He's going to piece them up. Korean Zombie's a beast. Same thing with him. He's only fighting monsters. I think he probably has all the best featherweights on his resume that he's fought all of them. He may have lost a lot of them, but he's been in there with the best of the best. And I think, you know, his time is really gone. And I think just his style of fighting is just different. And when you're going through wars like that, you know, the miles are going to freaking come on you. They're going to wear on you, right? And I think Max is going to go out there. He's going to piece him up a little bit. And I think it's going to be probably like a finish.
I like it. Cody, I like that you have Chang Sung Jung on the screen. Well done. Who is your Bick, Mr. Merrill?
Yeah, well, that was for you.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not going to hide it. I mean, Max Holloway is one of my favorite fighters. I mean, if I could get a blunt rotation with a group of guys, it'd probably be Max. It'd be Sugar Sean, you know, maybe Joe Rogan, and then John and Jason can be there too. And Belal will get dinner after because we're all going to be hungry. But I just think Chan Sung Jung possesses the one quality in this fight that you don't ever want to have against Max Holloway, and that's durability. The last thing that you want to be against Max is durable. Look at all the guys that he's fought that he's just racked up absolutely crazy numbers on, untouchable numbers. And I just think, as you said, Belal, he's got a lot riding on him. You know, he said he always walks in with the weight of Hawaii on his shoulders, and now it just feels a little heavier, which I think for him is going to motivate him. He's going to go out there and want to give them something to cheer about. He's one of those guys who takes everything kind of on the sleeve. So I agree. I think he's going to go out there and catch Chan Sung Jung. And who knows, Chan Sung Jung hasn't fought in Asia in a long time. Maybe he's going to feel the pressure to have to go out there and put on a performance, much like Aljamain felt like he had to do in Boston, put himself into a bad position and then get clipped and knocked out. So I think it's going to be an early finish here too, probably like a second or third round. But I just think it's dangerous when you go in there against Max Holloway, when you have a chin against 5 rounds, 25 minutes against one of the best strikers in the world. It might be bloody. It might be dangerous, but Max Holloway's got to be the pick.
I love it. Max Holloway, young guy, man. It feels like he's going to compete for the belt again. So I just got a text. John's at the UFC Apex, finished early, so I'm out here on his dime. So certainly I got to get out of here. We've been rolling 45 minutes. You boys have anything else before I get us out of here? Cody certainly doesn't.
No, I'm good, brother. Appreciate you. See you next week live in person again. Maybe we'll do another live show.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Bone? You do have
Belal, have you ordered from Gold Belly some Maine lobster yet? You feeling what Gold Belly is?
No.
Gold Belly, you can basically get any gourmet food from anywhere in the country shipped within like 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So
no way.
Saying if you're fiending for some of that Boston lobster, you could hit a Gold Belly.
Yeah,
and send
Boston,
it.
man, that lobster is
Shout
so
out
good over there.
Neptune Oyster. Bully and I broke some bread, ate at Neptune Oyster, which is the spot. But anyway, Cody, you can stay on here for this. But dude, for everybody who watches this show, we appreciate you. And check out APFC 7 next Sunday night. Please support us. But we'll be back next Thursday night. You can be sure before that. For my boys, Cody Merrill, Belal Muhammad, my name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday on Remember the Show. Have a good night.
Peace. Bully B, future champ.